Hey, are you ready to overcome the people pleaser syndrome? I'm Antia Boyd, creator of the Magnetize The Man Method, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Well, look, the problem is if you are a people pleaser, you are focusing way too much on the other person, on the man in your dating life. So tip number one on how to overcome the people pleaser syndrome is actually starting to focus on who? Yes, yourself. And so what that means is really asking yourself questions when you are on a date. Imagine you're sitting across from your partner, from your date, right? And you're asking yourself, how am I feeling? Am I enjoying this conversation with this man in front of me, right? Do I like the food that I'm eating right now? And by the way, also really good tips and tricks how to become more focused on yourself on a date is asking yourself, do I feel my feet on the ground? Do I feel my back leaning against my chair, right? Do I feel actually like where they connect? Do I feel my bum in my chair? And so on and so forth. So really check in with yourself, how connected you are with your senses on a date. So that is tip number one on how to overcome people pleaser syndrome. Tip number two, and this is really important, is actually starting to release guilt. Oh my God, I said the G word. And so this is what happens, right? Like what keeps us from actually saying no, setting boundaries, disagreeing, right? Like actually just kind of opposing the other person's opinion, our date that's sitting across from us or that we're in a conversation with, right? And oftentimes it's really this fear of guilt, right? And guilt sounds something like this. Oh, maybe I should have given this person a chance. After all, he's not such a bad guy. And I mean, he had his emotionally unavailable mom and he had this like terrible childhood. And I feel bad now, right? Because I can handle it and he can. So maybe I shouldn't have asked that, right? Everybody's doing the best they can. So you see the difference here? You're giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. You're also starting to question and you doubt yourself, right? So it's really about like releasing that guilt. And you know what? Like I had a huge breakthrough when I was dating before I met my husband of 5 years, which was actually saying, hey, wait a minute. Why am I have to be the one that feels guilty? Because I had men who were like disappearing, doing their own thing. And I was always noticing, wait a minute, they don't feel guilty about that. They don't feel like they should have called me today at the time that they said they should call me. Or they don't feel guilty that I cancel the date on me last minute, right? So I'm like, so wait a minute. So if they don't feel guilty, then why should I feel guilty? Okay. So that's like tip number two. And also the good thing about that is guilt is all about forgiveness, right? So tip number three is really forgiving yourself, because what happens is if you are hard on yourself, you actually project that into your dating life, into your romantic relationships. And so what happens oftentimes is when we don't forgive ourselves, we're hard on ourselves. And then when we set boundaries, when we say no, when we disagree with the other person, then the guilt comes up, right? But the guilt actually comes from all the accumulation, all the times where you've been already so hard on yourself, right? Where maybe you weren't the nicest person, or maybe you were impatient with the last partner you were dating, or maybe you were a bitch, right? Like, I mean, come on. I was the biggest bitch the night before my husband proposed to me. So look, just because you're a bitch, or just because you make a mistake or you act out, or whatever the case may be that you feel like you should feel guilty about, right? Like in a real relationship, it can withstand that tension, right? It can withstand the high waters, the emotional waves. Okay. So that's really important to know as well when it comes to really overcoming the people pleaser syndrome. So if you're like, gosh, Antia, this is really interesting. I really want to learn more how to focus on myself without feeling guilty, forgiving myself in the right moments, being present with myself, being in my body. But I don't really know where to start. It's so much. I'm really overwhelmed. I'm really confused. I'm constantly questioning myself. then I invite you to come on a Magnetize the Man clarity call with me, where we get crystal clear on what it is particularly for you that gets in the way, right? Is it like the little gremlin that whispers in your ear, or is it like what's a certain dialogue, right? What is that, the chain reaction? It's like an emotional chain reaction that happens inside of yourself that then becomes a downhill snowball effect. All right. So for that, hop on over to magnetizetheman.com, magnetizetheman.com, and grab your slot as long as they last, because we will create a new path for you filled with clarity and step-by-step practical steps that you can take into your life to move out of people pleaser syndrome, to feel confident, to feel empowered, and to truly, truly, really receive the respect that you deserve. Also, don't forget, if you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm clicking the link below, and we have so many more beautiful videos coming your way, learning on how to kick the people pleaser to the curb. All right, this is it for today. Much love to you. I'll talk to you very soon. Mwah!